If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A dramatic Tuesday with episodes of The Sealed Book, Boston Blackie, also Dangerous Assignment, I Was a Communist for the FBI, and Claudia. That's all straight ahead on this Tuesday. This is the 18th day of March, 77th day of the year, 288 days left in 2025. Jacques Desmoulins, the 23rd and last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, burned to the stake on this date in 1314. John Berkeley, the first Baron Berkeley of Stratton, sold his part of New Jersey in this date in 1673 to some friends, the Quakers. In 1766, the British Parliament repealed the Stamp Act, which was very unpopular in the British colonies. In 1850, American Express, founded by Henry Wells and William Fargo. You've heard of those two. In 1865, the Congress of the Confederate States of America adjourned for the final time. In 1874, Hawaii signed a treaty with the U.S. granting exclusive trading rights. And in 1893, former Governor General Lord Stanley pledged to donate a silver challenge cup, later named after him, as an award for the best ice hockey team in Canada. It was originally presented to amateur champions, and the Stanley Cup has been awarded to the top pro team since 1910, and since 1926 only to National Hockey League teams. In 1909, Einar Dessau used a shortwave radio transmitter, becoming the first radio broadcaster. In India, on this date in 1922, Mohandas Gandhi sentenced to 6 years in prison for civil disobedience. He would only serve 2 years. In 1925, the tri-state tornado hit the Midwestern states of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. 695 people were killed. In 1938, Mexico nationalized all foreign-owned oil properties within its borders. And in 1940, Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini met at Brenner Pass in the Alps and agreed to form an alliance against France and the United Kingdom. The eruption of Mount Vesuvius in Italy on this date in 1944 killed 26 people and caused thousands to flee their homes. In 1953, an earthquake hit western Turkey, killing 250. And in 1959, President Eisenhower signed a bill into law allowing for Hawaii statehood, which would become official on August 21st. He's an icon now, but on this date in 1961, he was freshly introduced, the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Don't forget home baked at your house. Bake Pillsbury.
The giggly doughboy, properly named Poppin' Fresh, was originally a product of stop-action clay animation, but is now created via CGI. Supreme Court ruled on this date in 1963 through Gideon v. Wainwright that state courts must provide counsel in criminal cases for defendants who cannot afford it.
Your Honor, I request this court to appoint counsel to represent me in this trial.
A recording of Clarence Gideon reenacting his court appearance for CBS a year later in 1964. The first astronaut to walk in space did so on this date as 1965, as we heard from Radio Moscow.
This is Radio Moscow. Here is the latest news about the Soviet spaceflight now in progress. At 11:30 this morning, Moscow time, one of the Soviet spacemen left the spaceship in outer space.
Cosmonaut Alexei Leonov left his spacecraft, the Boshkov, for 12 minutes, becoming the first person to walk into space. His suit, though, was overpressurized, and he had to partially deflate it to get back into his spacecraft.
My head worked like computer. What I'm going to do?
Alexei Leonov on the spacewalk that took place on this date in 1965. In 1987, Michael Deaver, friend and former aide to President Reagan, indicted, accused of lying to a grand jury and to Congress about his lobbying activities. Deaver eventually convicted, but on this date in 1987, he denied the charges.
I am confident I have not committed perjury and that I will be acquitted after a trial.
But he wasn't. On this date in 1968, Congress repealed the requirement for a gold reserve to back U.S. currency. And in 1974, most OPEC nations ended a 5-month oil embargo against the U.S., Europe, and Japan. In the largest art theft in U.S. history on this date in 1990, 12 paintings, collectively worth about $300 million, stolen from the Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. More than 89 people in 20 states charged on this date in 2002 in the first phase of a nationwide crackdown on the proliferation of child pornography via the Internet.
Our investigation uncovered an estimated 7,000 members, including some 2,400 outside our borders, using email and the Candyman website to post, download, and share pornographic images of children.
Attorney General John Ashcroft said individuals identified as subjects in Operation Candyman included Little League coaches, a teacher's aide, a guidance counselor, school bus driver, foster care parent, and professionals in the medical, educational, military, and law enforcement fields. On this date in 2003, about $1 billion taken from Iraq's central bank by Saddam Hussein and his family just hours before the U.S. began bombing Iraq, the biggest bank robbery in history. 1 year later, in 2004, President Bush would thank the troops.
In 1 year's time, Saddam Hussein has gone from a palace to a bunker to a spider hole to jail.
President Bush addressing the troops in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, March 18, 2004. In 2003, FBI agents raided the corporate headquarters of Health South Corporation in Birmingham, Alabama, on suspicion of massive corporate fraud led by the company's top executives. In 2008, Democrat president candidate Barack Obama confronted America's racial divide with a speech in Philadelphia. It was prompted by incendiary racial remarks made by Obama's African-American pastor, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Passing away on this date in history, actress Barbara Bates, opera singer Lawrence Melchior, also German-born psychologist and philosopher Erich Fromm, jazz trumpeter Billy Butterfield, the Mamas and the Papas John Phillips, Adam Osborne, the British computer pioneer, journalist Belle Butel, actor Fess Parker, guitarist Chuck Berry, Apollo 15 command module pilot Alfred Worden, and astronaut Thomas B. Stafford, and actress Natasha Richardson.
They examined her. She showed no sign of injury. She was talking, and so they followed procedure, brought her back to the bottom of the slope, and made sure she was okay.
Lynn Lordy at the Mont Tremblant ski resort, who had told reporters initially she seemed to be okay, but 2 days after she made that statement, she died on this date in 2009. Birthdays on this date include the daughter of Henry VII of England, Queen Consort of Louis XII of France, Mary Tudor. Also, Vice President John C. Calhoun, the 7th Vice President. Also, President Grover Cleveland, born on this date. Russian composer Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. Prime Minister of the UK, Neville Chamberlain. Actor Edward Everett Horton. Winemaker Ernest and Julio Gallio. Smiley Burnett, the singer-songwriter. Motorsports entrepreneur Andy Granatelli. Actor Peter Graves. Writer-actor George Plimpton. Musician Charlie Pride. Singer Wilson Pickett in the Midnight Hour. Also, Knots Landing star Kevin Dobson and actress and singer Irene Cara, all born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
It's a dirty job, but he'll always do it. Mike Rowe, 63 years old today.
My name's Mike Rowe, and this is my job.
From the TV show Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe, 63 today, and somebody who truly believes in honest hard work. Also, beauty queen, actress, singer Vanessa L. Williams, 62 today.
Among other things, with Miss New Jersey, who is also a black woman, did you think it was conceivable that the first runner-up and Miss America could both, for the first time, be black?
Well, after I had seen her talent and I knew how well I could do, I knew that she would be first runner-up or sometime or somewhere in the top 5. But we really didn't have a chance to see the girls' talent or listen to them in their interview until the final night, watching them on the monitor.
So that's when you see the competition?
Yes.
As far as you were concerned, though, she was just another candidate. The fact that she was black or you were black, is that relevant at all to you?
Well, we were both very similar. It wasn't really important to us that we were there as black contestants, but that we were very qualified, very talented. And there were a lot of similarities between us. We both had the same particular type of singing style, a kind of showy pop style. And we both had the same kind of attitude, being there, having fun, and doing the best we could.
From 1983 with Barbara Walters, interviewed after she became Miss America. Vanessa L. Williams, 62 years old today. Queen Latifah, 55. Dane Cook, the comedian, 53. From the group Maroon 5, and also did his time on The Voice. Adam Levine is 46. He was successful in TNA and NWA, and WWE not so much. Ethan Carter III, 42 years old today. The daughter of Phil Collins, Lily Collins, an actress, 36 today. From the WWE, the son of Rikishi, Solo Sikoa, is 32. From Swing Boat and Spy Next Door, Madeline Carroll is 29. And from Big Time Rush and Red Band Society, Ciara Bravo is 28. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 18th day of March as their birthday. And if this happened to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
Now on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going to go back 80 years to March 18th, 1945, The Sealed Book and the Hand of Death.
The threat of fire in our homes is always with us. It's a good idea to know how to deal with it. For fire to burn, 3 things are necessary: fuel, heat, and air. Take any one away and no flames. Most small fires can be put out by cooling, dousing them with water, or by smothering, taking the air away. Another method is to get the blaze outside. Take the fuel away by using a broom or other tool. So remember, a fire needs heat, fuel, and air. Take any one away and no fire.
Now on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater, Timekeeper toll the bell as we hear what is written in the sealed book. From 80 years ago today, March 18th, 1945, the story of the Hand of Death.
The sealed book.
Once again, the keeper of the book is ready to unlock the ponderous volume in which is recorded all the secrets and mysteries of mankind through the ages, all the lore and learning of the ancients, all the strange and mystifying stories of the past, the present, and the future. of the book, what tale will you tell us this time?
First, I must unlock the great padlock, which keeps the sealed book safe from prying eyes. Now, what story shall I tell you? I have here tales of every kind. Tales of murder, of madness, of dark deeds, and of events strange beyond all belief. There. Now let me see. Yes. Here's a tale for you. A dark story of two brothers. One of them killed because he could not help himself. The other one was interested in murder too, but in a very different way. The title of the tale is The Hands of Death. Here is the tale as it is written in the sealed book. It began in San Francisco on a night of thick, suffocating fog. A young man hurrying homeward turns a corner and bumps abruptly into a huge figure striding toward him.
Oh, excuse me. Fog is so thick I didn't see you.
It's all right. Tell me, do you live here? Here in San Francisco?
Why, yes, I do.
Do you know where Edward Morlock lives now?
Why, no, I never heard of him. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Wait.
But I've really got to get home.
I just want a light from your cigarette.
Oh, of course. Here, I'll hold it for you.
Just hold it like that. What is it? What's the matter?
Nothing. It's nothing.
It's my hands, isn't it? They frightened you.
No, it's nothing.
My hands, they disgusted you.
No, of course not.
They frightened you because they're not like other people's hands.
No, let go of me. Are you sure you
thought I was a freak?
Let go of me. You're crazy.
I'm not crazy, do you hear? I'll show you.
No.
I'll show you.
Phantom strangler in San Francisco, victim killed in fire.
So, the Phantom Strangler is at work in San Francisco. Jennings will be interested in that.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Morlock.
Huh? Oh, yes, Jennings?
The postman just brought this package, sir.
Oh, package, eh? Give it to me.
Yes, sir.
Now, wheel me over to the window.
Of course, sir.
This is close enough, Jennings. This package, I suppose you noticed it came from my agent in New York?
Yes, sir, I did.
Then perhaps you can guess what's in it. Hey, Jennings?
No, sir, but I have no doubt it's another nice addition to your collection of objects having to do with famous murders, sir.
Yes, indeed, a nice addition. But speaking of murders, have you seen this morning's San Francisco paper yet?
No, sir.
Well, look at these headlines. Read them out loud.
Playboy murdered in fog. Phantom strangler breaks victim's neck. Then he's back. Your brother Kane is back.
Yes, back in San Francisco, looking for me.
And he'll keep looking for you. And if he finds you, he'll kill you.
Yes, he's dedicated his life to that purpose. And all because he feels I cheated him out of his share of the money our father left us. Oh, it's a great pity.
Yes, sir. Of course, we know the truth.
Quite so. As you say, we know the truth. However, I hardly think Kane will find me here.
No, sir.
So we'll forget about him. Jennings, tomorrow afternoon, a neighbor's dropping in for tea.
A neighbor, sir?
Yes, Inspector Tennant, the head of the local police force. He's coming to view my little collection.
Of course, sir.
He may bring a friend with him. So have plenty of everything?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's all. What are you waiting for?
Excuse me, sir. I wanted to speak to you about this check you gave me yesterday for my month's salary.
Well, what about it? It's for the usual 500, isn't it?
Yes, sir, but you see, Mr. Morlock, I've been thinking, in these times I ought to have more.
More? Just how much do you consider your services worth, Jennings?
Shall we say 1,000 a month?
1,000 a month?
It's quite reasonable, I think. After all, if I were to tell the authorities all I know about your father's will, and how it happened that the entire fortune came to you and none to Cain...
Never mind, Jennings. I'll make out another check.
Thank you, sir.
But be careful you don't drive me too far, or you may regret it.
Oh, I think I'll be safe enough, Mr. Morlock. After all, confined to that wheelchair as you are, you need me.
That's enough. You'll get your check later.
Yes, sir. Very good, Mr. Morlock.
So you're getting greedy, are you, Jennings? I must find some way to discourage you. Yes, some way to discourage you.
The next afternoon, Edward Morlock, the strange, crippled collector of murder relics, enjoyed himself thoroughly playing host to Police Inspector Tennant and Mr. Norman Smith, a criminologist friend of his. He began by showing them his latest acquisition, the one that had come by mail just the day before.
And now, gentlemen, look.
A cashmere shawl?
Yes, but no ordinary cashmere shawl. Until last month, it was owned by two very old sisters who lived in a dingy house in Baltimore.
In Baltimore?
Yes.
You mean that's the shawl?
Exactly, gentlemen. That's the shawl with which the two old ladies were strangled by a sneak thief.
Well, I'll be darned.
It's a prize worthy even of my collection, which is, I flatter myself, the most complete of its kind ever assembled.
Funny hobby, I'd call it.
Every man to his taste, Inspector. Murder is your business, but it's my hobby. Now, if you'll just pull back those curtains there, the rest of my collection is on the shelves behind them.
These curtains?
That's right.
Well, I'll be jiggered. This is most interesting, Mr. Morlock.
Yes, I knew you'd think so. Look there on the wall. An authentic headsman's axe. It was used in the brutal murder of the Baron de Morlaix, an ancestor of mine in the 15th century. And right there below it is the blood-stained dress worn by one of the victims of Jack the Ripper. And on the next shelf, you see... And so there, gentlemen, you have the highlights of my collection. How do you like them?
Well, if that's the sort of thing you're interested in, I'll say your collection does seem complete.
Thank you.
It is indeed. In fact, there's really nothing missing except perhaps a murderer and a victim.
What did you say?
That the only thing missing from your collection is a murderer and a victim.
A most interesting thought, Mr. Smith. And after all, why not?
Why not what?
Oh, excuse me, Inspector. I was just thinking out loud.
Oh. Well, I'm afraid we got to go now, Morlock. Hey, Smith? Yes, you're right, Inspector.
It's been a great pleasure having you, gentlemen. And I do hope you'll call again.
Yes, Mr. Morlock, you rang?
Yes, Jennings. Before you help me to bed, I want you to mail these letters.
Yes, sir.
They're to major newspapers in San Francisco and contain a message to be inserted in their personal columns.
A message?
Yes, to my brother Cain. We used to communicate this way in the past.
But,
here is a copy of the message. You may read it.
If the gentleman with the unusual hands will visit his brother in Santa Villa, he will learn something to his advantage. You're inviting him here?
Exactly.
You've decided to play safe, to trap him and turn him over to the police?
Oh, that's clever of you, Jennings. Yes, very clever. But you've already proved you're clever, haven't you? Now just take these letters out and mail them, and soon, quite soon, I think, we shall be seeing my dear brother Cain again.
And now for the rest of my story. The hands of death, as it is written in the sealed book. After Edward Morlock had put into effect his plan to bring his brother Cain to him, he sat in his wheelchair and waited, seeming much amused at some secret thought of his own. One day passed, then 2, then 3, and then the newspapers carried strange new headlines.
Extra, read all about it. Phantom Strangler in Los Angeles. Extra, read all about it.
So Brother Cain was in Los Angeles last night, Jennings. Hey, he's getting closer. I shouldn't be surprised if he arrived here tonight.
I don't like it.
Oh, nonsense, Jennings. You know you've got nothing to fear from Cain. Unless, of course, you're so careless as to make some remark about his hands.
I know, but he intends to kill you.
I think I'll be able to control him. I want you to bring me a glass of milk. Cain is very fond of milk.
Glass of milk?
With a triple dose of sleeping powder in it.
But I don't understand.
Never mind, just do as I say.
What's that?
I imagine that's Cain now.
Cain? Here, already?
Quick, I'll let him in. You get that glass of milk ready. And bring it in when I ring.
Yes, sir. When you ring, sir.
Oh, come in, Cain. I've unlocked the window.
Yes, I'll come in, Edward. Now that I've found you at last.
Well, I'd hardly say you found me, Cain. I sent for you.
It's the same thing. Now I'm where I can put my hands around your throat at last. I'm going to kill you. Do you hear? Kill you.
Cain, sit down.
What?
Sit down. I want to talk to you.
All right, I'll sit down, but you can't change my mind.
Tell me, Cain, how many people have you killed since you got out of the penitentiary?
7.
7 murders?
They looked at my hands. They were disgusted. I didn't kill them. My hands did. You hear? I didn't want to kill them, but my hands killed them anyway.
Why, of course, I understand. Your hands. Your great-grandfather had hands like yours, you know, Cain.
Don't talk about it anymore.
Of course not, Cain. But you must be hungry. I'll ring for Jennings. He'll fix something for you.
Yes, I am hungry.
But please, Cain, don't startle the poor fellow. He's very much afraid of you.
Why? Why is he afraid of me?
It's your hands. He says they give him nightmares.
My hands give him nightmares?
Oh, you mustn't blame him, Cain. He can't help it.
My hands give him nightmares.
Yes, sir. I've brought you a glass of milk, Mr. Morlock.
My hands frighten.
Oh, thank you, Jennings. Just put it down here.
Yes, sir.
Why are you looking at me like that, Jennings?
I'm not looking at you, Mr. Cain.
You're looking at my hands. They upset you. They give you nightmares.
No, Mr. Cain, that's not true.
I'll show you. I'll give you a reason to be afraid of my hands.
Mr. Morlock, help me.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
Let go, you're kidding. Help.
There. That'll teach you to be afraid of my hands.
You can let him go now, Cain.
He's dead. My hands, they've killed again.
Yes, he's dead. Oh, you've been very wicked, Cain.
I didn't want to kill him. My hands did it. My hands, you hear?
You must be quiet now, Cain. You must rest.
I didn't want to kill him.
Here, drink this milk. Then lie down and rest for a while. We'll talk some more in the morning.
All right. I'll drink it.
I'll take care of everything. That's right, Cain. Lie back and sleep. Sleep soundly. So, you would blackmail me, would you, Jennings? And you would kill me, would you, Cain? But I've been too clever for both of you. Hello. Hello, police headquarters. Connect me with Inspector Tennant, please. I want to report a murder. And so, there you are, Inspector. Kane was in the penitentiary for assault with intent to kill. Apparently, he escaped since then. He's been seeking for me, meaning to kill me.
Good heavens, Morlock. Then he's the strangler who's been doing all these killings.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Oh, and I never guessed until he showed up tonight to kill me, because he thought, you see, quite wrongly, that I had cheated him of his inheritance. Jennings bravely came to my rescue, and Kane throttled him. Then I tricked Kane into drinking some drugged milk, and... well, there you are.
But why, man? Why? Why did he kill all these people?
Because of his hands.
His hands?
Well, you saw his hands. Tremendously strong. Not hands at all, really, but more like demon's claws. Kane is morbidly sensitive about his deformity. When he feels someone is frightened by his hands, he kills them. Just like that.
It's a good thing we got him at last.
You can take him along now quite safely, but be sure to keep him well locked up, Inspector, and don't let anyone get within reach of his hands.
A few weeks later, Kane Morlock entered the lethal chamber of the state penitentiary. Edward Morlock, the condemned man's invalid brother, was one of the few spectators. Kane Morlock, with his last breath, cursed his brother and swore that someday he would be avenged. Then he died. The following day, Inspector Tennant and his friend Norman Smith paid Edward Morlock another visit.
Oh, good evening, Inspector and Mr. Smith. It's very kind of you to stop by tonight.
We dropped in to see how you were making out, Mr. Morlock. Thought maybe, what with your trip yesterday and the shock, that perhaps...
No, I'm quite all right, thank you. What must be, must be. You see, I'm a philosopher.
You have somebody looking after you?
Yes, Philippe, a Filipino boy, is taking poor Jennings' place. Oh, and, gentlemen, that reminds me. I have something here that will interest you.
Mm-hmm. Something that'll interest us?
Yes, here on the table beside me. This jar.
Oh, a burial urn, isn't it, Mr. Morlock?
Exactly. And in this burial urn are the ashes of poor murdered Jennings.
Jennings' ashes?
Yes.
You mean you're going to keep them with you?
But of course, gentlemen. I was very fond of Jennings, very fond. What more fitting than that I should keep his ashes to remind me of his years of faithful service? Besides, well, I can always look upon them as part of my little collection.
Your collection?
Yes, Inspector. It was Mr. Smith here who pointed out that, complete as it was, it lacked both a murderer and his victim. Well, here are the ashes of the victim.
Great heavens.
That's rather a unique item, Mr. Morlock.
Yes, indeed. But the really choice addition to my collection is here in this box, which just arrived. Would you care to look at it, gentlemen?
What in the world?
Now, you needn't guess. I'll lift the lid and, see.
Merciful heavens.
A pair of hands. The hands of your brother Kane.
Exactly.
I can't believe it.
But what is so strange about it, gentlemen? There are the ashes of a murder victim. Here are the unique and terrible hands that throttled him. Where in all the world will you find a collector who can boast such items as these?
You must be mad.
Morlock, did you plan all this from beginning to end?
Plan it? Mr. Smith, how could I?
You're quite mad. We could never prove it.
You could prove nothing. Nothing.
Inspector, I think we'd better go.
Yes. Come on, let's get out of here before I do something I'd regret.
Call again any time, gentlemen. Easily upset, weren't they, Kane? Upset by your hands. Your great, strong hands that are going to become the prize items of my little collection. The distorted hands of a murderer. Ooh, how cold they are. And yet I can almost feel the murderous strength in them still. You wanted so bad that you'd close your hands about my throat, didn't you, Kane? But it's too late now. You're dead. And your hands are dead, too. Lifeless. Would you like to see how your hands look at my throat here? I'll place them there for you. See how nicely they fit around my neck. Just as if they... Oh, let go of me. Your hands, they're choking me. I can't breathe.
Morlock,
what is it? Where are you?
Inspector, look. They're on the floor.
Good Lord. It's Morlock. And... No, it can't be. His brother's hands have clutched around his throat. They've strangled him.
And that is the story of the Hands of Death, as it is written in the sealed book. Edward Morlock was quite dead when they found him, with his brother's severed hands about his throat. But they called his death heart failure. For who would believe that two dead hands by themselves could wreak the vengeance that Cain Morlock swore to have before he died? And perhaps it was heart failure. Perhaps Edward Morlock, thinking he felt the hands move, died of sheer terror. You'll have to decide for yourself which is true. The answer is not written here. But the sound of the great gong tells me I must lock the book once again.
One moment, Keeper of the Book. What story from the sealed book will you tell us next time?
Next time? Are you sure you want to know? Perhaps my next story will be about you. For I have here all the stories that ever happened, and many that have not yet come to pass. But I'll find one for you in just a moment.
And now, Keeper of the Book, have you found the story that you'll tell us next time?
Yes, I found one. It's the story about a man who found the secret of immortality, of life everlasting, and how he tried to use it to make himself master of the earth. The title of the tale is The King of the World.
Be sure to be with us again next time, when the great gong heralds another strange and exciting story from...
The Sealed Book.
The Sealed Book, written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, is produced and directed by Jock McGregor.
80 years ago, March 18th, 1945, The Sealed Book here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Let's go to a different crime. Dick Kollmar as Boston Blackie is next.
When the family is packing up to go on a vacation or maybe on an all-day trip to the beach, everyone's pretty busy. Dad is sure the car is in good condition, Mom sees to it that food and extra clothing is packed, and of course we can always count on the kids to bring special equipment, everything from a tennis racket to a portable radio. The same thing is true in preparing for possible enemy attack. Everyone should have a job to do and know when to do it. Be sure that everyone in your family is assigned a job to do in case of enemy attack.
We continue now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox with an episode of Boston Blackie, starring Dick Kollmar. This goes back 78 years to March 18th, 1947, the story of Sam Fisher's past.
Didn't think I'd make that one, did you, Sam?
No.
Think I'll be the club's billiard champion this year?
If you play this way, Roger.
But will I? That's the question. Here, see if you can make the same shot.
How silly can you get? Well, I'll try. This didn't look easy, and it wasn't.
If you want to see a hard one, watch this.
You're trying to make me feel worse than I do already.
What I'm trying to do is make myself feel better. Watch. That's what reverse English does for you. Here now, you try it. See if you can.
No, I've had enough, Roger.
Hey, Sam. Nice boys don't throw cue sticks on the floor.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but no use, Roger.
What's no use?
I can't stop thinking. I can't stop wondering who I was and what I did before I came to town.
Look, Sam, you've been talking about that now for 10 years. Will you cut it out before you give everybody the creeps and drive yourself crazy?
I can't. Lately, it's been getting worse. Listen, I'm Sam Fisher now, but I wasn't before I lost my memory. Roger, don't you understand why I'm so jumpy? I came to this city a little over 10 years ago with no memory of who I was or where I'd been or what I'd done. I had an accident, and I woke up in Kansas City, and I didn't know my name. No one did, or where I'd come from. They just found me in the street, unconscious.
So what, Sam? Everybody knows who you are now. You're a happily married man, an important business executive, one of the city's best-dressed men.
But I've got to know who I was. I've got to. I'm sorry, Roger. I've got to get out of here. This place is getting on my nerves. I'm going to get some air.
Don't go too far away, Sam.
Hello?
Mrs. Fisher, please.
Speaking?
Oh, Rita. I didn't recognize your voice. This is Roger.
Oh.
I'm in the billiard room at the club. Your husband just walked out on me.
Oh, is poor darling Sam upset again?
Upset? That obsession of his is driving him out of his mind.
Oh, the poor dear.
Yeah. Isn't it a shame? Shame it's taken him this long to begin to crack. Pretty soon, Rita, we can do exactly what we planned.
And now on to Dick Kollmar as Boston Blackie. Enemy to those who make him an enemy. Friend to those who have no friend.
Now, let me get this straight, Mr. Fisher. You don't think you're really Sam Fisher?
No, Blackie. How can I be? Just the name I gave myself when I came to after an accident in Kansas City 10 years ago.
I see. Why did you pick that particular name? It might have some bearing on your past.
No, I'm afraid it doesn't. You see, I call myself Sam Fisher because my doctor's name was Sam, and he was an excellent fisherman.
Well, that takes care of that. Tell me this. How much effort have you made to find out who you were before you became Sam Fisher?
None. I was afraid to.
Afraid to? Why?
Well, somewhere in the back of my mind, I had a vague memory that I'd done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a glimmer of a memory, so faint it never took shape, never gave me an inkling of my past. But it's always with me, always haunting me, poking at my conscience. Blackie, I just can't stand it much longer.
So you want to find out who you were, where you've been, and what you did before you became Sam Fisher?
Yes, I've got to. I've got to know, no matter how terrible the truth is.
Mr. Fisher, why are you so convinced that you did something wrong before you had that accident? Well, why do you think that?
Just think it, that's all. I can't help it. It's there in my mind. Blackie, you've helped others. I know you can help me. I'll give you all the assistance I can.
But how can you help me when your memory stops with that accident 10 years ago?
Tell you something, I've told only to Mrs. Fisher and a few of my closest friends. It's about a dream I have. A fantastic dream that I have almost every night.
Excuse me. Hello.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Fisher, please. I understand he's there. This is Mrs. Fisher.
Oh, just a minute. This is your wife, Mr. Fisher.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Rita?
Oh, Sam, I hope I've called you in time. The maid said you left for Boston Blackie's an hour ago. How much have you told him?
Well, not very much of anything, dear. You sound awfully upset. What's the matter?
Well, Roger just phoned. He's found out something about you.
Before the accident?
Yes, Sam, and it's awful. Don't tell anybody anything, not until you've seen Roger.
He's found out something about me. What? What did he find out?
I don't want to talk about it over the phone. Roger will tell you. He's waiting for you at the club. Now get down there right away.
All right, dear, I will. Right away.
Well, that sounded important and encouraging.
Blackie, I'm sorry, but I'll have to leave.
Well, leave? But you were just about to tell me about...
I'm sorry, Blackie, but I can't tell you anything now.
Wait a minute, Fisher. Do you...
I don't think I'll need your help. I don't think anybody can help me now. So I was right about myself, Roger. I was a murderer before I lost my memory.
Well, it isn't positive, Sam. There's only an indication that you were. I'm checking it further. Now, you get in a cab and go home to Rita.
How can I? A murderer.
Well, no, I don't know for sure yet, Sam. Don't you understand?
When will you know?
It'll take a little while. I want to check slowly and carefully. Here, there's a cab waiting at the stand. Taxi!
Roger, let me help you check up on this thing.
No, Sam, you stay out of it. If not for your own sake, for Rita's.
Well, you let me know your progress, won't you?
If I make any. Now, I'll get in the cab. Go on home and don't worry.
Don't worry. I won't sleep till you find out the truth, Roger. Find it out soon, will you?
As soon as I can. Night, Sam.
Night, Roger. Thank you for everything.
Bye, Sam. You're a nice guy, Sam. You'll live a long and happy life, I imagine. But you'll never be seen again.
But, Mrs. Fisher, the Missing Persons Bureau can't go out looking for every man and woman who stays away from home overnight.
But you don't seem to understand, Lieutenant Martin. My husband's never done this before. And he was terribly upset last night when he got into that cab. I know something's happened to him.
Why are you so sure?
Because it's something he was afraid of. He thinks he has amnesia. That he's not really Sam Fisher at all, but someone else. A killer, maybe.
Are you talking about the same Sam Fisher I'm thinking about, Miss Fisher?
He's the Sam Fisher who was voted one of the city's best-dressed men this year.
We're talking about the same man.
Oh, then I don't have to describe him for you, do I?
Oh, no, I know what he looks like. Well, he won't be hard to find, Miss Fisher, if he's really missing, which I doubt.
Oh, but I think he is. I know he is. He's probably run away or suddenly become the person he was before he lost his memory.
Well, that might be. You say he was last seen getting into a cab in front of his club.
Yes. By Roger Ainsley, a friend of his.
Uh-huh. Had your husband done anything out of the ordinary yesterday?
Well, no. No, but he was especially upset about himself, though, when he went to Boston Blackie for help in finding out about his past.
Went to see Boston Blackie, huh?
Yes.
Did he see Blackie?
Yes, I phoned him, and he was talking to Blackie then.
Ah, I think I'll call Inspector Faraday. He might be interested in this.
Oh, why, Lieutenant? Do you think Blackie might have something to do with my husband's disappearance?
Well, I don't know, Miss Fisher. I'm just checking that angle as a possibility.
I see.
Faraday speaking.
Hello, Inspector. This is Lieutenant Martin over in Missing Persons.
Oh, hello, Martin. You found anything lately?
No, we just lost one.
Yeah?
Sam Fisher, last seen getting into a taxi outside the Arnicle Club.
Arnicle Club, huh?
Yes, I know that doesn't interest you, Faraday, but this might. Fisher was up to see your friend Blackie the evening he disappeared.
Up to see Blackie, huh? Well, this is more interesting to me than you think. It ties in with a case the homicide department's just started work on. I can follow your missing Mr. Fisher's tracks step by step, Martin.
You can?
Sure. He left Blackie, went to his club, took a taxi from his club to the waterfront, and then disappeared.
How do you know he went to the waterfront?
Because we just found the cab he took. The cabbie's report shows his last stop was the Arnicle Club.
The cabbie described Fisher as his passenger?
The cabbie wasn't in condition to describe anything. He was dead, strangled with a necktie. And I think I can tie Boston Blackie into this, too.
All right, you guys, finish with those pictures and let's get that body out of here. Maybe you guys like the salt air of the waterfront, but I get seasick on a park lake. So make it snappy.
Hello there, Inspector Faraday.
Hello, Lieutenant Martin. Fine, Blackie?
Yeah, here he is.
Yes, here I am, Faraday, and here you are, and here's a dead body, and here's where I solve another case for you. Ho-hum.
I'll ho-hum you. I know who killed this guy, Blackie. It was Sam Fisher. The lovely red and green tie around the cabbie's neck came from around Fisher's neck.
Only it fits the cabbie's neck a little too tightly, huh?
Yeah. And you know why Fisher killed this cab driver and where Fisher is now. Well, do you or don't you?
Don't I, Faraday? Say, by the way, Faraday, keep away from the waterfront or you'll wind up mounted on some fisherman's living room wall. And don't try to get me connected with this. All I know is Fisher came to me for help last evening. He thought he was suffering from amnesia, and he wanted me to find out who he was before his mind went blank.
And what else?
There's no more else, Faraday. He got a phone call from his wife and then beat it out of my apartment. I haven't done anything on the case because I was out with Mary last night.
Good. Now you can go out with her again right now. I just wanted to hear your story. I know what happened here. Fisher's run away. He killed his cabbie, so he couldn't tell...
Which way he went. That's a nice theory. For you, Inspector, it shows remarkable logic. But as usual, it's wrong.
Because you say so?
No, because the green and red necktie says so. It was found twisted around the cab driver's neck, right?
So?
So somebody twisted it around his neck. Chances are somebody was wearing the necktie, took it off, and strangled the driver.
That's right. Somebody named Sam Fisher.
Who, if memory serves me, was one of the city's best-dressed men.
What's that got to do with him not killing this guy here?
Fisher wouldn't wear a tie like that green and red thing, Faraday. It's monstrous. He wouldn't be found dead wearing it, much less use it on somebody else who's found dead.
That's what I like about you, Blackie. You keep saying that you're always helping me, and the first thing you do always is complicate things. If Fisher didn't kill the cab driver, who killed him?
I don't know, Faraday, but as long as I told you who didn't, I might just as well try to find out who did.
And now back to Boston Blackie. Wealthy and prominent Sam Fisher recovered from an accident 10 years ago, but suffered loss of memory. When his friend Roger Ainsley tells Fisher that he has made a mild discovery about the years before the loss of memory, Fisher gets into a cab and is not seen again. But the cab is found, and so is the driver, dead, strangled with a necktie. As we return to our story, Boston Blackie talks to the missing man's friend, Roger Ainsley.
Mrs. Fisher tells me you're one of her husband's closest friends, Mr. Ainsley.
And his greatest admirer, Blackie. Oh, why shouldn't I be? I had a little 2x4 business 8 years ago, and look at my office today. Thanks to the contacts I made through Sam Fisher.
Apparently you're indebted to him, yes. Perhaps you can help us find him.
Well, I don't know how. He's still missing, and the cab driver who took him to the waterfront is dead.
You put Fisher into that cab, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you get a good look at the driver?
No, I didn't, Blackie. It was dark, and besides, all cab drivers look alike to me. Do the police really think Sam killed that cabbie?
They think so, but I don't. That wasn't Fisher's necktie found around the cab driver's neck. It wasn't his type of tie, and it wasn't expensive enough for him.
Well, I will say Sam had expensive taste in clothes.
And good, too. Do you remember what Fisher was wearing when he got into that cab?
Yes, I do. A blue double-breasted pinstripe suit. It was his newest.
Yes, that's right. He wore it up to my place. And that's further proof Fisher didn't kill that driver. He never in the world would he wear a green and red tie with blue. And he wasn't wearing it when I saw him. Well, so much for Sam Fisher's present. What can you tell me about his past?
Nothing. I've known him only since he came to town, and that was about 10 years ago. He never told me anything about his past because he didn't know anything about it himself.
You believe he actually suffered from amnesia?
I don't know. He told a convincing story, and he told it often. It's possible he did have amnesia. I'm sure of that.
Well, that and the fact that he didn't kill that cabbie are the only things I'm sure of about this case. Thanks for your time, Ainsley.
Don't mention it.
Well, I will mention this. You may hear from me again.
Well, you know where to reach me anytime you want. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, I'm sorry, sailor.
Sailor? Hey, what's the matter with you landlubbers? Can't you steer a straight course?
Oh, sorry, maybe I thought I was plowing through mined water.
Hello, Ainsley.
Captain Dunn, what are you doing here?
You don't know, Mr. Ainsley? Well, you got a surprise coming.
Look, you're a fool to come here. Boston Blackie was just here. If he saw you, he might start putting things together. You said you'd stay on your ship until it pulled out.
If everything went according to plan, Mr. Ainsley.
Well, didn't it? You got your $5,000 to take Sam to China with you, didn't you?
I did.
Well, then what's wrong? I kept my part of the bargain, and I left Sam lying on the wharf for you, just as I said I would.
You did.
Then what are you doing here, you fool? You realize somebody might get the connection between us and... And look, Sam was still there when you came ashore to get him, wasn't he? He didn't come to and walk away, did he?
No, he didn't walk away. He couldn't. And he didn't come to. He couldn't do that either. Now, what did you hit him with? The broadside of a four-masted schooner?
Oh, no. Why? What do you mean?
I mean, whatever you used, you hit him too hard. When I found him on the wharf, he was dead.
Dead? No.
Dead, aye. Dead as the wind in the Sargasso Sea, but I got rid of the body.
Oh, this wasn't in the plans.
And it wasn't in my plans to have to get rid of a body either. So I've changed my price. The $5,000 you give me is just a down payment for my services now. You better come aboard with 5,000 more.
But I don't have it.
You don't have it, eh? You better get it, landlubber. You better get it.
Rita, honey, Sam's dead, and you're going to come into a fortune from his insurance alone.
But I'm going to be careful how I spend it, Roger, darling.
All right, pinch every penny of it until it squeals if you want it, but you've got to give me that $5,000 for Captain Dunn.
You killed Sam. You pay Captain Dunn.
I don't have it. Besides, I didn't mean to kill Sam. It was an accident. I hit him too hard.
You certainly did.
Look, Rita, what's the matter with you?
Why don't you stop?
You trying to get rid of me, too?
No, I'm not. I'm trying not to get rid of $5,000.
Yeah. You're willing to do anything to get rid of Sam. You thought it was wonderful when I came up with the idea of telling Sam I knew something about his past. And then to see that he got lost for good, so it looked like he ran away.
It was a brilliant plan, Roger. Brilliant.
It was perfect. You were even going to write to him after Captain Dunn shanghaied him to China. You were going to tell him that we were sure he was a murderer, so we knew he'd stay away.
I was, but I'm not going to have to write to him now. You killed him. He's not in the mood for letters.
Look, Rita, give me that $5,000 for Captain Dunn. That's all I ask.
You killed my husband. That's something I didn't ask.
All right, maybe I did kill him. I said, maybe I did. I don't know. All I know is that I got to the waterfront before him and his cab, and I did slug him. But I also know I didn't kill that cab driver. And I think you did.
I did?
Yeah.
Why, Roger,
yes,
I don't know.
You. That's it. You killed that driver. Only you and the cab driver knew my plans. After all, he was well paid to take the long way around to the waterfront so I could get there first. But you were the only one who knew where that cab driver would be and when.
Well, what if I did? I had no reason to kill him.
Oh, no?
No.
You killed him so he wouldn't tell that I paid him to drive Sam to the wharf. You killed him so that there'd be a murder involved in our scheme, and I'd have to keep my mouth shut forever about it.
You get out of here,
Not
Roger.
yet, I won't. You knew when that driver would drop your husband off at the wharf. You waited up the road until the cab passed, and then you hailed it. The driver and his cab were found just a little ways up the road from the wharf where Captain Dunn found Sam.
You have a beautiful imagination, darling. Too bad it imagines all the wrong things.
Oh, yeah. All right, go ahead. Deny it if you want to. But that won't stop me from getting your money to keep the words out of Captain Dunn's mouth and us out of a jam.
Listen, Blackie, are you trying to make a beachcomber out of me? We boarded 2 ships in this dock.
And there are only 3, Faraday, so come on, let's get aboard this one and find out what we're looking for. Or go home.
I don't know why we're looking for anything down here.
Do I have to tell you all over again? We're looking for the ship's captain that came to see Roger Ainsley this afternoon.
Yes. So there's bound to be a connection between the sea captain and Ainsley, because you think there's a connection between Ainsley and the disappearance of Sam Fisher.
And the dead cab driver, too. Let's not forget him.
Let's forget to go aboard this ship, and let's remember to go back uptown.
Too late, Inspector. We talked our way right up the gangplank, and here
There's nobody on deck. Let's go.
Oh, but there's bound to be someone aboard. Hello? Hello, anybody home?
Hey, who's there?
That's the man, Faraday. That's the man who saw Ainsley this afternoon.
Ahoy down there! Who's calling?
I am, Captain. I want to talk to you.
Hey, well, come up to my quarters. I'm dressing to go ashore.
Thanks. Come on, Faraday. Up these steps here.
Blackie, if this is a wild goose chase...
Oh, come on now, Faraday. Went aboard a ship. Be nautical. If anything, we're on a wild gull chase.
Throw that joke overboard, will you? And don't let go.
Oh,
You
Faraday.
men want to see me?
Well, it's always proper to pay a visit to the captain of the ship when you invite yourself aboard, isn't it? You are the captain.
Hey, come in. Seems to me I've seen you before.
You have. You bumped into me just outside Roger Ainsley's office door this afternoon.
Oh, so I did. You're still steering a zigzag course.
No, from now on, I hope to go straight to port. This is Inspector Faraday of the Homicide Squad.
Matey?
I'm Boston Blackie. I don't think you told us your name.
Dunn. Harvey Dunn. What do you want aboard my ship?
We'd like to know why you went to see Ainsley this afternoon.
Personal business. I suppose you want to know why I'm wearing civilian clothes to go ashore tonight. That's personal business, too. Anything else?
No, but I wonder if you know a man was killed and another man disappeared in the vicinity of this wharf last night.
Yes, I know. Heard it on the radio.
Yeah, nice new tie you have there, Captain.
You got something on your mind, Blackie?
That tie, Captain Dunn. The rest of your shore clothes are rather old, but the tie is new, brand new. You didn't leave your old one somewhere, did you?
No. I threw it away.
You threw it away, it flew down the road and wrapped itself around a cab driver's neck and choked him to death.
Hey, Blackie, that red and green striped tie would be okay with the captain's suit, wouldn't it?
Yes, Faraday, but it isn't okay with the captain that we've caught him with his
Mike!
necktie.
Henry! Come here! Mike! Henry! Here, Captain Dunn.
Uh-oh, Faraday, these guys are big.
Mike! Henry, get to work on these.
I can't. All right, get over there, you.
You're in this too, Captain. Scram, Faraday, and get to a pole.
I can't. I'm too busy.
Oh,
You
yeah?
won't be for long.
Come here, you luck. You all right, Faraday?
A little bruised, but still here. How about you?
Present. And Dunn and his slugging chums are all accounted for.
Yeah. It was that table leg that accounted for little Mike there. It's a handy little gadget. Table leg.
I got Henry, boy, with an arm. My arm with a fist on the end of it. And look at our friend the captain. He looks all at sea.
Oh, why don't you stop that?
All right, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Ainsley. I'll see you in my office now.
Oh,
Of course.
all right.
Thank you, Inspector Faraday.
Oh, stop whistling that turkey in the straw.
Of course.
Come on.
Well, what's the verdict, Inspector Faraday?
I didn't kill anyone. Don't you let Roger say I did. He's lying.
I am not lying.
To save
You're the
himself.
one.
That's enough of that, both of you. Well, Blackie, shall I tell him the bad news? Or would you like to?
Well, I'll tell him this much, Faraday. Ainsley, Mrs. Fisher, we got a confession from Captain Dunn a moment ago. He killed both the cab driver and your husband, Mrs. Fisher.
And you know I didn't do it.
And I didn't.
No, Ainsley. Fisher was very much alive when the captain found him on the wharf. Unconscious, but alive. You didn't hit him too hard.
That's right. Now, here's what happened. Captain Dunn killed the cab driver first. He waited up the road near the wharf and hailed the cab. After it had been down to the dock to drop Fisher.
The driver had brought Fisher to the wharf so that you could get a slug at him, Ainsley. Captain Dunn killed the cab driver to cover up the murder he was about to commit. A dead cab driver can't talk about his last passenger.
But, why did Captain Dunn kill my husband?
He thought he could get more money from Ainsley if Ainsley here thought that Sam had died from that blow on the head.
Oh.
It was a blow from the captain that killed him, though.
So you two ought to be happy. You're not going to jail for murder.
I know
Well,
I'm
that's
happy.
something.
Don't let that become a habit. Neither you nor Mrs. Ainsley is in the clear.
But why?
Well,
We didn't do anything.
Well, of course not. All we did was...
All you did was conspire to defraud and injure the person of Sam Fisher. There's a charge being placed against you for that.
Why don't you whistle, Ainsley? Or is the turkey in the straw unhappy because he's going to be a jailbird?
March 18th, 1947, 78 years ago, Dick Kollmar is Boston Blackie here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On the Wednesday podcast, we'll have an episode of Gangbusters, the case of the reckless ride, calling all cars from 90 years ago, and the Mae West jewelry robbery, the story of the real robbery of Mae West jewels and $3,000 in cash, a dramatization of that robbery. And to give you an idea of how significant that robbery was, that $3,000 in 1935, almost $70,000 today. Also, on our Wednesday program, we'll have an episode of Escape the Finger of Doom from 1949. Also, Lawson Zerbe as Frank Merriwell in The Adventures of Frank Merriwell from 76 years ago, and The Boomerang Pitch. And then we'll wrap it all up with an episode of Lum and Abner. That's all coming up on tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thursday, we'll have an episode of Bob Hope, an hour with Fred Allen, and a quiz show, True or False. And we'll have an episode of the Jack Webb quarter-hour program, 1 out of 7. And then we'll wrap up the week on Friday with an episode of Fibber McGee and Molly, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, Jack Benny, Ozzie and Harriet, and Claudia. And then we'll start off your weekend with an episode of the Screen Directors Playhouse, production of The Great Lover. That stars, of all people, who else but Bob Hope. Also, the first show of a series entitled Passport to Romance, and then we'll wrap it up with an episode of Dragnet and The Big Talk. And then Sunday, we will have, let's see, who do we have? Frontier Gentlemen, starring John Daner from 1958, A Gunsmoke from 1958, A Luke Slaughter of Tombstone from 1958, and another quiz show, Quick as a Flash. And then we'll have episodes on Monday of the Campbell Playhouse, June Moon, starring Jack Benny, A Day in the Life of Dennis Day, and Sam Shovel in an episode of the Abbott and Costello Show. That's all coming up in the days ahead here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But coming up next, Dangerous Assignment.
If you are planning a new building, the architect can make inexpensive changes in his design to shield against the dangers of radioactive fallout. This technique is called design slanting, which simply means designing for added fallout protection without adversely affecting the use, appearance, or cost of a building. To learn more about slanting, contact your local civil defense director.
Now we go back 72 years to March 18th, 1953. Brian Donlevy, starring as Steve Mitchell in another dangerous assignment. And as Steve Mitchell heads to Norway.
Dangerous Assignment. Transcribed starring Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell.
Yeah, danger is my assignment. I get sent to a lot of places I can't even pronounce. They all spell the same thing, though, trouble. But when I walk into the commissioner's office, I don't realize that this assignment's going to wind up with me exactly 1 foot from death. Morning, Commissioner. You sent for me?
Steve, I've arranged an appointment for you in Oslo, Norway, tomorrow night.
Oh, who am I supposed to meet?
We won't know until he shows up. Room 21, Hotel Engar.
Is this going to be a friendly meeting, or are things apt to get rough, Commissioner?
We've been after this man for a long time, Steve. He heads an organization known as the Bureau. an international clearinghouse for stolen information.
Sounds like big business.
It is. This man has agents operating in every European capital as well as here in the United States. They pick up any secret information they can buy or steal, funnel it back to the Bureau, where he sorts it out and peddles it to any nation interested.
I see. So why is he going to show up at the Hotel Engar in Oslo?
He's bringing a payroll. He's to turn over $50,000 to a man representing his agents in this country.
And how did we find this out?
Our boys grabbed this representative in New York last night as he was about to board a plane for Europe. He talked plenty.
I get it. So I take this gent's place and go on to Oslo to meet Mr. Big. Wait a minute, Commissioner. Won't it sort of complicate things if Mr. Big knows what the courier looks like?
He won't. A different man is sent for the payroll each time. And the man we have in custody has never met the big shot.
Okay, what name do I use?
Francis.
You're kidding.
Nick Francis. That's the courier's name. Get over to Oslo, Steve. It's vitally important we nail the head of this organization. Well, that's it. You've got your assignment. Good luck.
The National Broadcasting Company is presenting Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy in the role of Steve Mitchell, colorful two-fisted government agent. At all those places of the world where danger and intrigue walk hand in hand, there you will find Steve Mitchell on another Dangerous Assignment. Hollywood's greatest star-studded spectacle, the Academy Awards presentation, will be broadcast in its entirety tomorrow night by the NBC Radio Network. Listen tomorrow to NBC's exclusive broadcast of Hollywood's most impressive ceremony, the Academy Awards. More than 30 of Hollywood's greatest motion picture stars will appear on the Academy Awards stage in the heart of Hollywood. Bob Hope will be master of ceremonies, and Paul Douglas will be your NBC host for the evening. So set aside tomorrow night for the Academy Awards. Hear every moment of this stellar glamour gathering tomorrow night on the NBC Radio Network. It's Hollywood's most important night of the year, and you can be a part of it when you listen on NBC.
Sure, I've got my assignment. Get over to Oslo, Norway, under the name Nick Francis, and keep an appointment with a gent who heads an international information ring. It's early Thursday evening when my plane lands at the Norwegian capital. As I saunter through the airport waiting room, I get the feeling that a pair of eyes are planted on the back of my head.
Attention, please. Will Mr. Francis report to the information desk? Attention, Mr. Francis. Report to
Well, here we go already. I don't know if that's good or not. I look around, spot the info desk at the far end of the waiting room, and walk over.
Yes, sir. May I assist you?
You were paging me. I'm Nick Francis.
Oh, yes. A lady has been asking for you.
Oh, well.
Let me see. Over there. You see the large lady with the red hat carrying the parage cage?
Oh, yeah.
Sitting next to her on the left, the attractive blonde lady. That's the one.
Well, that's better.
Here she comes.
Looks like Oslo's answer to Marilyn Monroe.
I beg pardon?
You are Mr. Francis?
That's right.
Well, I am Helga Strauss. There has been a change of plans, Mr. Francis. I was sent to inform you. It is not safe here at the hotel.
Thanks for the tip. What now?
You will come with me. I will take you to the meeting.
Okay. Lead on, Helga. Outside, we ease into her car and drive off. During the next 10 minutes, she doesn't volunteer much information, and I don't ask. Finally, she wheels the car to a stop in a small side street in a quiet neighborhood. I follow her down a winding path and around to the front of an old, dilapidated house. We push through the rickety front gate and up onto the porch. Hey, place kind of dark. Doesn't seem to be anyone home.
Wait here. I will go around to the back.
Want me to come along?
No, you wait here.
I light up a cigarette and wait. A couple of minutes go by, and then I happen to spot something partially hidden in the weeds not far from the porch. I go down and pick it up. It's a small sign on a post, and I know just enough Norwegian to read it. For sale. I grab my bag and head down the path on the double. When I get back to the street, Helga's car is long gone. Yeah, as neat a sucker play to get me out of the way as I've ever seen. No blood, no mess, no fuss. Simple, but effective. I give myself 3 demerits and spend the next 10 minutes trying to find a cab. It's another 15 minutes before I pull up at the Hotel Engar.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. I'm Leanvold.
May I help you?
I have a reservation. The name is Nick Francis.
But how can that be, sir?
Look, what goes?
But Mr. Francis is already in his room.
What?
Yes, sir. He checked in an hour ago. Went upstairs immediately.
I don't wait for the elevator. I take the stairs, two at a clip, and 40 seconds later, I pull up at the door of room 21 and try the knob. The door's unlocked. There's a gent curled up on the floor, probably the phony Nick Francis. He has a surprised look on his face. I guess he wasn't expecting the knife that's buried in his back. 5 minutes later, the law arrives in the person of one Lieutenant Roberg. He clears the room of interested spectators, and when we're alone, I show him my credentials and give him a fast rundown on
Then our killer could have been the man you are seeking, the head of this so-called bureau.
Right. He walks in, recognizes this gent as a phony, and slips him the knife.
Another possibility, Mr. Mitchell. What if he knew or suspected the man in the room here was an American agent?
I don't see how he could have found that out, but it's a thought, and not a very pleasant one. I found this in his pocket.
A key?
If it's a locker, I'd say. There's a number stamped on the back, also a manufacturer's mark.
Yes. I do not think this will be difficult to trace.
The lieutenant puts in a couple of phone calls and finds out the key is to a baggage locker, and 10 minutes later we roll up in front of the railroad station in a police car. As the lieutenant and I hurry inside, I bump into an old friend.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's you.
Yeah, me. Hold on, sweetheart.
Let me go here or call the police.
You can whisper for one, Helga. Meet Lieutenant Roberg.
What?
This lieutenant is the little lady I was telling you about. She's in the real estate business, specializes in empty houses.
So, how fortunate we meet, my dear. I have some questions I would like to ask concerning the affair at the Hotel Engar this evening.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can drop that routine, sweetheart. You're up to here in murder.
Murder?
Yeah, your boyfriend.
Rudy, Oh, you lie.
A trip to the morgue might convince you.
Rudy dead?
What was your boyfriend's game? Come on, Helga.
Well, I knew very little about it. We met, Rudy and I, at the inn 2 months ago. He was a ski instructor.
What inn is this you speak of?
Jornson's. It is in the mountains near the village of Avdal. A few days ago, he told me that he had uncovered a marvelous opportunity to make a lot of money, that I could help him.
What was this opportunity?
He was to come to the Hotel Engar here in Oslo, pose as a man named Nicholas Francis, and someone would give him $50,000.
And who was this someone?
I do not know. Rudy did not tell me. You said that he had heard part of a telephone conversation at the inn. One of the guests was involved. He did not tell me who that guest was, though.
I see. Well, Lieutenant, suppose you escort Helga to the car, huh? I'll see what this locker key turns up.
Over here, Mr. Mitchell.
Where's our girlfriend?
In the car. My man is with her.
Here's the stuff I found in the station locker. Small traveling bag, clothing. Also a wallet and identification papers. Checks with what Helga told us.
I see. Well, come, let's go back to headquarters then.
You go on, Lieutenant. I've just bought a train ticket to Avdal.
You are going up to the inn?
Yeah. I'm interested in the guests staying there, or one of them anyway. I'd like to find out which one took a little trip to Oslo today.
Having rid himself of Rudy, you think he has gone back to the inn?
Maybe. Probably to set up another contact with Nick Francis.
I see. But suppose our killer knew that the man he was to meet in that room was an American agent. Instead, he finds Rudy, whom he recognizes as the ski instructor. He kills him because, obviously, Rudy knows too much.
Go on, Lieutenant.
There is still the American agent to be disposed of. You. The killer hurries to the airport to contact Nick Francis, perhaps by the same method the girl used.
Only she beats him to it, but he gets a good look at me.
And now if you show up at the inn...
Yeah, I'm a dead pigeon. That is if your theory is right. If you're wrong, I'll see you around, Lieutenant.
Steve Mitchell will continue his dangerous assignment in just a moment. On our nation's highways, excessive speed is the number one killer. It takes more than half of the lives lost in traffic accidents in many states. And only you as a driver can help reduce the terrifying toll of human lives. Obey the signs of safety, the signs along the highways which indicate lawful speed limits. But when road conditions are hazardous, slow down for safety's sake. Many times the posted limits are not the safe limits. Remember that at 60 miles an hour, your car moves 88 feet per second. And it only takes a moment for trouble to loom up out of nowhere. Take a tip from the professional truck drivers, the men who drive for a living, and stay alert. Keep your eyes on the road ahead, where you can see accidents threaten before they can happen, and avoid rushing headlong into that fatal accident. Obey these few good rules for safe driving. Keep alert, keep your eyes on the road ahead. And remember that driving is a full-time job. Then slow down, for the life you save may be your own. Now back to Dangerous Assignment and Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell.
Well, at this point, it looks like Rudy, the ski instructor at Jorson's Lodge up in the mountains, decided to deal himself into the card game by posing as Nick Francis to collect a payroll from the boss of an international secret information ring, which, of course, is what I'm trying to do also, in order to nab the boss. But Rudy got himself dealt a knife in the back, which, of course, doesn't exactly relax my shoulder blades any. Right now, though, it looks like my best chance of finding the killer is up at the inn, so I hop the next train. 2 hours later, I get off at a small village at the foot of a mountain. Then I spot another guy getting off the train, a fat gent with a cane who comes waddling toward me.
Ah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Is your destination the inn?
Why, yeah. You know where it is?
Sight along McCain, sir. Up on the side of the mountain.
Huh? Hey, long way up.
Hey, Lena should be here any moment.
Lena?
The innkeeper's daughter. She usually meets the trains.
Oh, you're a guest at the inn, Mr.?
Whitley's the name, sir. Ronald Whitley. And you?
Steve Mitchell.
Delighted. Yes, I'm a guest at the inn.
But you took a little trip into Oslo, huh?
Yes. Made a rare find, too.
What?
I'm a collector. Isn't this a beauty?
The cane?
Oh, it's much more than just an ordinary cane. Seat. Oh,
a sword cane, hey?
I'm sorry, old boy.
Look, would you flourish that thing somewhere else than in the vicinity of my belt buckle?
Did I come a bit too close for comfort?
Yeah.
Here's Lena.
Hello, Mr. Whitley.
My dear, this is Steve Mitchell. Another guest for you.
Hello, Mr. Mitchell.
Well, hello.
A charming addition to the inn, don't you think, Mitchell?
Yeah, and I haven't even seen the inn.
Come along, both of you. This is your room, Mr. Mitchell.
Very nice.
And here, a nice view from this balcony, don't you think?
Yeah. Hey, long way down, too.
Over there, in that direction, is...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I did not mean to crowd you against the rail.
Of course not.
I just wanted to point out the pond where we skate. And down there is another pond. Quite beautiful in the evening.
Oh?
Perhaps you would like to see it.
Perhaps you'd like to show it to me.
Perhaps tonight.
That's a date. You know, things happen kind of fast up here. Must be the altitude.
Or the attitude.
Could be. Many guests here at the inn?
Oh, quite a few. You have already met one of them, Mr. Whitley.
Yeah, the gent with the sword cane. He took a quick trip to Oslo last night, huh?
Yeah, with Mr. Calder.
Who's Mr. Calder?
He's another guest who also took a trip into Oslo.
Has he come back yet?
Yeah, on an earlier train this afternoon.
Where is he now?
I believe he's out skiing. Well, come along downstairs, Mr. Mitchell. I introduce you to some of the guests. Huh?
Fine, Lena.
Oh, here's one of them now coming down the hall.
That's some cast he's got on that foot.
Yeah, poor Mr. Tarson.
Well, Lena, my dear.
Mr. Tarson, I'd like you to meet another guest, Mr. Steve Mitchell.
Mr. Tasson?
Make it Tass, Steve. That's what everybody calls me, just plain Tass.
Looks like you've had an accident.
Oh, the ankle? Well, Steve, that one's on me. Yes, sir, I was a chucklehead. That's all there is to it.
How so?
Live dangerously. That's my motto. Old Tass has only been skiing a couple of months, but already he's not satisfied with the easy slope back of the inn. No, sir. He's got to try the big one over the ridge.
A very dangerous slope, Steve.
Talk about a 3-point landing, and one of the points happened to be my ankle.
Quite a few of us saw it happen. We thought he was dead for a moment.
Only thing that saved me, I guess, was that I hit first on my head.
Yeah, well, I'll see you around, Mr. Tassin. I wander around the inn, sizing up the guests, and of course I'm wondering about that cast on Tassin's ankle, and if it's legit, but I find out real soon that it is. One of the guests is a doctor who set the ankle, and he tells me it was broken in 2 places. That sort of crosses Laughing Boy Tassin off my list, because the gent I'm after killed Rudy in Oslo, and Tassin hasn't left the inn. That sort of focuses attention on Whitley, the sword cane artist, and Cooler, who's still out skiing. Also, I'm wondering about that quick date Lena made with me for tonight. She could be involved, too. Towards night, I wander into the lounge.
Steve? Over here by the fireplace.
Oh, Tassin.
All right, come on in and join us for a drink, huh? Take the chill out of your bones. You know Whitley, Steve.
Sure, he made quite an impression on me earlier with the point of his sword cane.
You are enjoying your stay here, Steve?
Yeah,
What is it, Steve?
Nothing. I'll be back. What starts me moving is the sight of a man starting down the stairs. It's Lindvald, the clerk from the Hotel Engar in Oslo. As he reaches the bottom of the stairs, he spots me and ducks out a back door. I pound after him. Outside, he's nowhere in sight. I circle around the inn a couple of minutes, but there's no sign of him, and the snow is too cut up to do any tracking. Then, as I round the corner of the building... Hey, Lieutenant Roberg from Oslo, what are you doing here?
I went to the Hotel Engar to question the clerk Lindvall again about the times involved in Rudy's murder. They told me Lindvall had been taken ill suddenly. As I was leaving, I observed him coming out of the rear entrance. I followed him to the depot.
And then here, huh? Come on, he can't be far.
If Lindvall is involved, Mitchell, that means...
Hold it.
What's the matter?
Sounds like an engine of some sort.
The ski lift. Lindvall's going up the slope in one of the seats. Come on.
We head for the ski lift, but halfway up the slope, Lindvall spots us and jumps off. We start after him. It's slow going in the snow, but we gain on him. Then over the ridge, he comes to a deep crevice. He tries to jump across, but he doesn't make it.
Mitchell!
Yeah, that takes care of Lindvald. Look, I figure he was just a stooge in the deal. Also, the people at the inn can't possibly know he's dead.
So?
So we're going back to the inn and set a little trap. If it works, I hook the boss. When we get to the inn, Lieutenant Roberg goes inside alone. I ease up to a window where I can hear.
Is Mr. Mitchell here?
No, he went outside some time ago.
I am Lieutenant Roberg of the Oslo Police. When Mitchell returns, tell him I am taking a man named Lindvald into the village for questioning. I want Mitchell to join me immediately.
Lieutenant Roberg leaves the inn. I wait a few minutes and then stroll inside.
I say, the policeman looking for you.
He wants you to come into the village.
Oh? Well, yours is the only car here, Lena. Could I borrow it?
Of course.
She gives me the keys and I go upstairs, supposedly to change clothes, but actually to wait and see who shows up. I figure the head of the information ring, one of the guests, now thinks that Lindvald is under arrest, and if he's afraid Lindvald will talk, he'll either want to stop me from getting into the village, or else he'll try it for a getaway. Either way, he'll want those car keys I've got, and he'll come after them. And it didn't take him long.
I say, Mitchell.
Whitley?
If you're going into the village, would you pick up a couple of magazines for me?
Oh, fine. Okay.
Here. I've written down the names. Thanks awfully.
Hold it, Mitchell.
Well, Laughing Boy Tassin. I should have remembered that balcony runs clear across the front of the inn. You get around pretty well for a guy with 1 foot in a cast.
I manage. You don't seem surprised to see me.
I'm not. That's why Whitley showing up threw me for a moment. No, as soon as I found out Lindvald was in the deal, the light started to dawn, and you were the logical one.
How so?
Look, Rudy, the ski instructor, found out there was going to be a payoff to your American representative, Nick Francis, so Rudy decided to pose as Francis and collect.
That's right.
But he'd have hardly done it if he thought the boss was going to make the payoff in person. He had to be sure the boss wouldn't come to Oslo. How could he be sure? Well, a busted ankle, for instance.
I see.
Lindvald was to make your payoff for you, but Lindvald recognized Rudy as a phony and knocked him off, then came back here to report to you.
That's pretty nice figuring, Mitchell, but too late. Better not just step out on the balcony here and hand over those keys.
Okay.
That's far enough.
What happens now?
An unfortunate accident. It's a long way down, and you shouldn't have been standing so close to the rail.
Neither should you.
Mitchell!
I dive to one side and hack at his gun. Knocks the shot wild. He swings the gun at me, but I duck under it, throw him off balance. All his weight comes down on the bum foot, and it can't support him. Oh, brother.
Mitchell? Mitchell! I double back as you suggested.
Hello, Lieutenant.
That was Tassin?
Yeah, he took the big drop, just like his stooge, Lindvald. I guess that's what you call 2 falls to a finish.
Our star, Brian Donlevy, will return in a moment. Remember, tomorrow's the night for NBC's exclusive broadcast of the fabulous Academy Award ceremonies over this station. Listen and hear the glamour and glitter that is Hollywood's biggest night of the year, Academy Award night. Hear Bob Hope as Master of Ceremonies and Paul Douglas as NBC's host for the evening. Hear such great Hollywood stars as Loretta Young, Ginger Rogers, Janet Gaynor, Mary Pickford, James Stewart, Ray Milland, Olivia de Havilland, Jane Wyman, and many, many others as they introduce this year's Oscar winners. Then hear the voices of the winners as they accept the highest award in the motion picture industry. Yes, you have a front row seat for all of the star-spangled glamour that is the Academy Awards when you set your radio dial to this station. This is the Academy's Silver Jubilee year, and all of Hollywood wonders who will win the Oscars. You can hear each award presented tomorrow night. So make it a date to hear every glittering moment of the ceremonies on the NBC Radio Network.
Next week, Lisbon. A guy who didn't want to get arrested, and a girl who did.
And that will be Steve Mitchell's dangerous assignment next week. Included in tonight's cast were Ken Peters, Gigi Pearson, Paul Frees, Dan O'Herlihy, and Betty Lou Gerson. This is John Storm speaking. Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell with Herb Butterfield as the commissioner, is written by Bob Reif and Adrian Jandot and is directed by Bill Karn. Be with us again next week at this same time when Brian Donlevy, starring in the role of Steve Mitchell, will embark on another transcribed Dangerous Assignment. Who will win the Oscars? Listen tomorrow on NBC.
Well, in addition to it being broadcast on radio, it was also broadcast on television. The first Oscar ceremony to be televised, the first ceremony held in Hollywood and New York simultaneously, and the only year in which the New York ceremonies were held in the NBC International Theater on Columbus Circle. It was shortly thereafter demolished, replaced by the New York Coliseum. And let's see, among the awards won, Best Motion Picture, The Greatest Show on Earth, Best Director, John Ford for The Quiet Man, Best Actor, Gary Cooper for High Noon, let's see, and Shirley Booth as Best Actress in Come Back Little Sheba, Supporting Actor, Anthony Quinn in Viva Zapata, Best Supporting Actress, The Bad and the Beautiful's Gloria Graham. Best Writing was The Bad and the Beautiful, and Screenplay. Story and Screenplay was The Lavender Hill Mob by T.E.B. Clarke. And then, of course, The Greatest Show on Earth got Best Writing for Motion Picture Story. Irwin Allen's The Sea Around Us received the Best Documentary Feature. And the one reel Best Short Subject, Light in the Window. And that gives you a lot of what we know there. So that's what we have. Oh, and the Best Musical Song, The Ballad of High Noon. Do not forsake me, oh, my darling. Dangerous Assignment. 72 years ago today, March 18th, 1953, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you don't want to hear me sing, visit our webpage at classicradio.stream and buy something or make a donation. That'll always make it. Buy me a copy. That's what you do there. All right, next, Dana Andrews and I Was a Communist for the FBI.
Trained people are needed to meet disasters. To fill this need, the United States Office of Civil Defense, in cooperation with the United States Office of Education and local school systems, is offering a 12-hour course called Personal and Family Survival. The course includes discussions on the effects of radioactive fallout, how to plan for and live in fallout shelters, and what to do after a nuclear attack. To learn more about personal and family survival, consult your local civil defense director.
Just a moment to thank our friend David, who is a listener, made a comment over on Facebook. And here's what he said, and I think he's far too generous. Wyatt has a fantastic podcast that helps his listeners relive the golden age of radio. Wyatt's knowledge, insights, and delightful commentary is not only entertaining, but also offers the listener a wide variety of radio programs. I've listened to Wyatt for more than 5 years. Keep up the great job, Wyatt. God bless. Thank you, David. We appreciate you so much. And, of course, your feedback always makes a difference. You can comment on Facebook or over on X or any of the social medias or even on your podcast app. Give us a rating and make your comments there. This is at classicradio.stream, is where you can find links to our Facebook and X feeds or Twitter feeds or whatever it is this week. Dana Andrews is here. I Was a Communist for the FBI. This goes back 73 years, March 18th, 1952. Red Waves.
I was a communist for the FBI. Starring Dana Andrews in an exciting tale of danger and espionage. I was a communist for the FBI. From the actual records and authentic experiences of Matt Cvetic come many of the incidents in this unusual story. Here is our star, Dana Andrews, as Matt Cvetic, who for 9 fantastic years lived as a communist for the FBI. I learned a lot during my 9 years with the communists, but I didn't learn a thing about women. And why not? Because the women who join the Reds aren't interested in being women at all. This story will give you an idea of their real interests. In a moment, listen to Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic, Undercover Man. Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic, Undercover Man. This story from the confidential file is marked The Red Waves. When you're an FBI man in comic clothing, you can't expect life to be beautiful or dull. And believe me, it isn't. There's neither comfort nor security in the everyday routine. In fact, the most prosaic humdrum incidents often end up twanging a tune on your nerve endings. You walk down a familiar street, for instance, same street you've walked 1,000 times before. You reach the corner in time to catch a streetcar, just an ordinary streetcar, the same one you've ridden every day for weeks, months.
Step up, please, step up.
You step into the streetcar. You see the same tired early morning faces, same motorman you've seen every day.
Morning.
Morning. You pay the same fare. You start down the same aisle. You reach for the same familiar strap.
Hey, mister.
For me?
Yeah. You forgot your transfer.
Me?
Yeah, you. Here.
I don't need a transfer.
Yes, you do.
No, I'm just going as far
Come on, take it.
Why? I just...
This transfer you need. Well?
Okay. Oh, thanks. I took the transfer and looked at it. Just an ordinary streetcar transfer. Then I turned it over and looked again. There was a phone number written on it. The handwriting was neat and feminine. Call Briar 2214, it said. And it was underlined in red.
Hello?
Oh, hello. Is this Briar 2214?
Yes, it is.
Well, this is Matt Savetic.
Oh, yes, Comrade Savetic. How are you?
I'm fine. Fine. Who is this, please?
I've heard so much about you lately. Comrade Lorenz has nothing but praise for you.
Lorenz. Is Lorenz in town?
Mm-hmm. We were sent here together. Are you free tonight?
Well,
I'm staying at the Royal Terrace Apartment Hotel. Can you be here about 9?
Well, I guess so, if it's important, but I...
Terribly important. I'm in apartment 402. See you at 9.
Now, wait a minute. I don't even know who you are. Hello? Hello? Well, good evening.
Well, Svedig, good to see you again. Come in.
Hello, Lorenz. How are you?
Busy. This project has involved so much work, it can only be successful. Oh, do you know Comrade Block?
We talked on the phone this morning.
How do you do, comrade?
Frida has worked as hard as I have on all this, and her big job is still before her.
I wish it were in operation right now. I'm getting the jitters.
Just remember, Frida, that emotions are self-defeating. Consider each phase of our work as an intellectual exercise. Then
All right, Comrade Lorenz.
you'll find, Frida, that our cause is best served by an attitude of calculated objectivity. A cool, deliberate...
All right, Comrade.
Well, Lorenz, you were obviously sent here for something important. How do I figure in it?
Oh, here's the checklist for Comrade Svetic.
Good. I must apologize for giving you this menial chore, Svitik, but even the slightest details must be handled by comrades of high standing. Only the most trustworthy have been chosen.
Okay, Lorenz. What's it all about?
This checklist. Note the number of names listed here. All carefully selected comrades. You'll be receiving messages in the mail from these comrades shortly.
In the mail?
Oh, very innocuous messages, to be sure. But as you receive them, you will check off the names of the comrades who sent them. Then you'll compile the information they have sent you and turn it in.
That's all?
That is all.
And please, Comrade Svetic, no slip-ups. I need every bit of information you receive. I must...
All right, Frida, I'll phone you as soon as I get
No.
No?
Well, why not? That's a private phone, isn't it?
You will turn the information over to me, Svetik. You'll deal with Frida only through me.
That seems like the long way around, Comrade.
Naturally. And it will seem even longer to the FBI or any other enemy agency that tries to discover what we are doing.
Lorenz did a lot of babbling, but he didn't tell me what I wanted to know. I still didn't know why the party had sent this upper echelon commie all the way from New York to poison the air in this region. And who was Frida Block? What was her function in the party? I could only wait and search for clues among the messages that were due to come in the mail. The first one was a note from a commie named Webster at draft board number 179. It said, Harry Daniels, 1436 Elm Avenue, to be drafted on 6th of this month. Married 2 years. Wife's name, Mary. From a commie waitress at the PX at Camp Cronin, Lieutenant Tom Maxwell, stateside furlough ends this week. Rejoins outfit overseas. Wife just had baby girl. One after another. Simple, intimate, personal items about servicemen. I had to find out how they could contribute to any commie project, and I had to find out fast. Speaker, this is Red.
Well, hi. Been wondering about you.
Listen, I'm sending the FBI some stuff. It may be important, it may be nothing. I don't know.
What is it?
It's a copy of a checklist of busy little Reds.
How busy?
They're supplying the party with information about servicemen.
That's important.
Yeah, but I don't know why they're doing it. The party sent Lorenz out here to run the show.
It's got to be important.
He brought a girl with him. Her name's Frida Block.
Block? Block. Not the actress.
I don't know. She's...
Dark hair, husky voice, eyes like headlights?
Yeah?
That's the one. Keep an eye on her, Matt.
That's no trouble.
No, but she is. If Frida's playing a part for Lorenz, you can bet she's no ingenue.
However she was cast in this commie drama, I knew that Frida was more likely to spill information than Lorenz. So I called and made a date with her. It wasn't difficult. I'd compiled all the messages, and they were ready for delivery. I lied that I wasn't able to get in touch with Lorenz. The next thing I knew, I was at her seedy apartment hotel. I nodded to the desk clerk and stepped into the self-service elevator. Frida's floor. I opened the elevator door, stepped into the corridor, and...
You're early, Svedic.
Oh, Lorenz, what are you...
You must be eager to see the young lady. Well?
Well, I came to deliver the information you wanted.
I'll take the information.
Oh, where's Frida?
Resting. She has a lot of work ahead of her. Good night.
Well, as long as I'm here, Lorenz, I might as well say...
Good night, Svedic.
But Frida's expecting me. I owe her the courtesy of an explanation.
You owe me that explanation, comrade. You've deliberately ignored my instructions. You were told that I am to be the intermediary between you and Frida. You have your reasons, I am sure, for the disobedience, but my reasons have been formulated in the best interest of the party. If I thought
All right, Lorenz, that's enough.
Indiscretion can mean disaster, Svedic. It cannot be tolerated. Now that you've delivered the information, comrade, good night.
Now, more than ever, I knew I had to break through that wall of secrecy. I waited a few hours and phoned Frida. There was no answer. I waited a few more hours. Then I went back to her apartment hotel. It was late. The lobby was deserted, quiet, like a badly furnished tomb. The desk clerk was dozing in his chair, and just behind him was the wall rack holding the keys. If I could just reach it without disturbing him. There. The key to apartment 402. Apartment 402 was a tiny place, but it seemed a lot larger with no one in it. Frida was gone. Frida's clothes were gone, too. The closets were empty. The dresser drawers were empty. There was nothing here to tell me what she was doing for the Reds, or where she'd gone, or why. The only thing I could do now was get out of the apartment. I locked the door behind me, then headed for the stairs. No good. Someone was climbing the stairs just a floor below. I couldn't risk being found here. I started down the hall again, not quite sure where I should go when...
Going down! Oh, down! Hold it! Going down!
I breathed the big sigh of relief as the elevator door shut behind me, and then... I couldn't breathe at all. My reflexes had crossed me up. This was a self-service elevator. It needed no one at the controls, but someone was at the controls. He was pushing the emergency stop button now.
You don't mind stopping between floors, do you, Svedic? I have a few things to settle with you.
Do you always settle things with a gun, Lorenz?
Not always. But in your case, it may be necessary.
Back to Dana Andrews, starring as Matt Cvetic in I Was a Communist for the FBI, and the second act of our story.
Ever been trapped in an elevator late at night with a man you hated? Ever been forced to face a red fanatic like Comrade Lorenz from the wrong end of a gun? These were new experiences to me, too, and I don't recommend them. You stand there and sweat, waiting for that last-minute miracle, or the reckless flash of heroic abandon that will help you overpower the villain. But nothing happens. You just stand there and sweat.
This is the second time you have disobeyed party orders, Svetik. Well, speak up, Svetik.
Why? You have no intention of believing anything I tell you.
What's that you have in your hand?
Oh, the key?
Key? Where did you get the key to?
Frida's apartment. Why not? We've spent a lot of time together. Been good friends. Ever since we met in New York months ago.
You're lying, Svetik.
Am I? Sounds like someone would like to share our elevator.
I know you're lying. Frida had strict orders not to become friendly with anyone.
Look, Lorenz. The key. Apartment 402. See? Sentiment. Love. A bit sickening.
And you know the work she's doing, I suppose?
Well, she's asked my advice about it from time to time. Are you going to give up this elevator or not?
I can't believe it. She knows the cost of failure in this work. I can't believe it.
I think we'd better get out of this elevator, Lorenz.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Where to now?
To call your bluff. We're going to see Frida.
Now? At this hour?
Frida starts work tonight. If what you say is true, she'll stop work tonight. If you're lying... All right, Svetik. Out.
Lorenz ushered me out of the building and down the street to where his car was parked. In a moment, we were speeding across the sleeping city. Our destination? I had no idea. I could only think of the dilemma I'd created for myself. The big commie secret, whatever it was about to be revealed to me. But I was about to be exposed as a liar, a traitor to the cause. A fat, messy dilemma, all right. And I was impaled right smack on its horns.
All right, Svetik. Here we are. Out.
Out? Well, there's nothing here but a beach.
The pier is right behind that seawall.
Pier? What pier?
For one who knows so much, you seem to know very little.
Oh, I've never been to this part of the waterfront before.
All right, out.
The sea air was cold and damp. You tasted the salt on your lips, and when you breathed, you caught the sharpness of salt in your nose. The night was black and still. The water was black, too, and only its constant movement distinguished it from the night.
Wait here, Svetik.
Where are you going?
Just wait here.
Lorenz walked to the corner of the pier and signaled with a flashlight he'd taken from the car.
Might as well make yourself comfortable, Svetik. We'll have a short, miserable wait. Getting restless, Svetik?
Isn't that a boat out there?
Ah, good. It's just 25 minutes since I signaled.
Ahoy! How about a light?
Here we are! Can you see the beam?
I see it! Stand by!
All right, Svetik. Hop over there.
After you, comrade.
In the launch, Svetik. Now.
Okay.
Come on, hop to it.
Here I come.
That's the way. You ready, Lorenz?
Ready?
There we are.
All right, let's go. The last lap, Svetik. The last lap.
The launch sliced through the choppy water. We changed directions 2 or 3 times till I had no idea which way we were headed. Then, for no apparent reason, the pilot turned off the motor. It wasn't until a coil of rope landed at our feet from above that I realized we were alongside another boat.
Make it fast. All set here.
This second boat was not much bigger than the launch we were in. but the pilot was busy tying the launch to the larger craft. As we scrambled up on deck, I could see that this had once been a small fishing boat, but now that the commies had it, it was used for purposes other than fishing.
Where's Frida?
She's still recording, comrade.
Recording?
Sure. What'd you expect her to be doing?
I thought you knew all this, Svedek.
Well, I thought you'd be finished by now.
Come along.
Where?
Down below. You want to see Frida, don't you? Well, Svedek, what do you think of all this?
Well, I never thought that you
Pretty compact, eh? Living quarters here, and in there, a complete recording studio. Complete to the finest detail.
Is Frida in there now?
Sure. Perhaps you would like to hear how your lady love sounds.
Seems hardly worthwhile fighting at all if that's how they take care of you guys.
What's she doing, a Tokyo
And you,
Rose
Lieutenant
act?
Maxwell,
Listen.
That furlough was fun, wasn't it? Oh, by the way, don't worry about your wife being lonely. The baby's doing fine. And so is Mrs. Maxwell. She's been getting lots of company lately. Mostly civilians. And mostly male. Funny how
This
women
won't
can forget
work,
so
Lorenz.
soon.
You're wrong, Svedek.
Fellas, I
You're
won't
wrong,
forget you.
dead wrong.
ever.
It can't fail. Frida records her programs here. A plane picks them up according to prearranged schedules and shuttles them to specified relay points.
Then what?
Matter of days, hours sometimes, and the records are delivered to certain ships at sea or to red bases on other continents, within earshot of American troops, of course.
No, it won't work. Tokyo Rose tried the same thing in World War II. She thought she'd break down American morale, but the GIs laughed at her. If anything, she boosted morale.
Exactly. That's our purpose, too.
Well, I don't understand.
Among those cozy personal notes Frida broadcasts, we've included urgent coded messages. But of course, you know this, don't you?
Oh, she never mentioned anything about messages.
The messages, Svedek, are tailored for the ears of red agents among the Americans. Every time a GI tunes in to snicker at Frida, he's aiding the closest communist agent. Now, do you understand?
Yeah, I understand, all right.
Evidently, Frida didn't get around to telling you that.
No, she didn't.
Come inside the studio. She's done now. Let's see what she tells me.
I swear it, Comrade Lorenz. I don't know what you're talking about. Svedek and I never...
Frida, honey, tell the truth. It'll be a lot easier for both of us.
Lorenz, he's out of his mind. I never had a thing to do with him. I never gave him a key. I never...
I want the truth, Frida. The truth.
I'm telling the truth. I swear it's the truth.
Lorenz?
Yeah, what is it? I'm busy.
You expecting another boat out here?
No, of course not.
There's one coming.
What?
A big one. It's got its lights on us. Looks to me like a Coast Guard cutter. Take a look. If that ain't a Coast Guard cutter, I ain't a seaman.
Then let's get away from them. Get the anchor up. Move.
Comrade, this hunk of flotsam couldn't outrun a cork in a wash tub.
But they'll take all of us in. We can't let them. Svedek, we can't let them take all of us.
How can you stop them? That gun of yours won't help.
Someone's got to get away to carry on our work, to give the party the facts before the newspapers make fools of us.
Stay on deck over there. We're coming aboard.
It's too late now.
Lorenz, one of us got dug over the side. They'll be towing this tub of ours in. If he cut the launch free, he could hang on to that.
Svedek, do it.
What?
You're the strongest man here. Go on. Over the side, hurry.
I went over all right. I cut the little launch free and drifted around in the blackness, watching the Coast Guard cutter tow in the commie's boat, with Lorenz, Frida, and all the evidence the FBI would need. When the cutter's lights had faded to pinpoints, I climbed into the launch and started for the shore. I had my problems keeping her on course, but somehow I managed to bring her in. This time I enjoyed the blackness, the quiet, the feeling of being alone. But was I alone? Someone else was on the pier. He was watching me. He was catching up with me. It was too close, much too close. I saw a piece of loose lumber on the pier. It was big and heavy. I picked it up, whirled around fast, wheeling the board like a club. I started to swing.
Hey, Matt, come down.
What do you...
It's me, Beaker.
Oh, Beaker.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, I'd like to keep my head on my shoulders. The FBI likes me better that way.
Okay, Beaker, let's have it.
Have what?
The story. What brought the Coast Guard out to that commie boat?
That checklist you gave us.
What?
The one with all the commie names on it. We rounded them up one by one and got just enough truth out of each of them to piece together the whole picture. What's the matter? You miss your commie playmates or something?
No. I just hope they don't find out the truth about me.
Don't worry, Matt. We told Lorenz that the Coast Guard got suspicious of all the unexplained activity on the boat. They investigated and hit pay dirt.
Fine. Oh, better let me out here.
Well, can I drive you home?
I better not. Never know who'll see us together.
Yeah, guess you're right. Night, Matt.
Night, Beaker. I watched the taillights of Beaker's car disappear. The commies were gone. Lorenz, Frida, the whole crew. They would face charges of sedition, treason, the works. I turned and walked the other way, alone. Really alone. This is the way it always seemed to end. Alone. No Reds behind me, no friends beside me. And ahead of me, I didn't know. I couldn't know. But I'd find out soon enough. Too soon. I was walking toward it now. Walking the silent street into the future. Alone. This is Dana Andrews, friends. In the story you just heard, names, dates, and places are fictitious to protect innocent persons. Many of these stories are based on incidents in the life of Matt Cvetic, who worked undercover for the FBI. Next week, another fantastic adventure. Join us then, won't you?
"73 years ago, March 18th, 1952, I was a communist for the FBI on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And now, let's go to court and see what's going on with Claudia."
A well-designed school can be more than a fine building and a place for learning. It can also protect the children, the teachers, and the whole neighborhood, too, if the architect has designed the school to serve as a community fallout shelter as well. Over 13,000 architects and engineers have been trained in fallout shielding techniques. To learn more about building fallout shelter into new schools, contact your local civil defense director.
Find the interesting information on civil defense and things you can do today to keep your home safe in the show notes or at classicradio.stream. Now, Claudia is in court. Let's find out why in this episode of Claudia from March 18th, 1949.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia. Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Now, David, now stop looking as if your face had been carved out of the side of a mountain. David, do you hear me? Or does driving make you deaf?
How would you like me to look?
Well,
You seem to forget that we're on our way to court. That I'm to miss a whole day at the office because you refuse to obey a sign that says no U-turn. That I'll probably have to bail you out.
Well, after all, it's not every man whose wife gets a summons for making a U-turn when she shouldn't.
Certainly isn't.
It's not every man who has the satisfaction of saying, I told you so. And it's not every man who has the pleasure of seeing his wife tried in a court of law. Why, I think you'd be overjoyed. What's it like? You know, going to court.
Oh, you've been to the movies, haven't you? Court is a very serious, sober, strict matter.
Oh, I feel excited and impatient. Drive faster.
One offender in the family is enough, thank
The
you.
closer we get, the more I feel like Joan of Arc.
Then we better stop right now.
What do you mean?
Joan of Arc was not a criminal.
Am I? Oh, darling, you've never called me a criminal before.
Well, different situations call for different names.
No, seriously, now what's it going to be like?
Can't you wait and see?
Well, you drive so slow, David.
Well, in the first place, you're going to be asked to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Always tell the truth.
The whole truth.
Well, when it's not important.
And in the second place, you will be not allowed to speak except when you're spoken to.
Oh, just like at home when you're working. I know, yes.
In the third place...
Yes, go on.
Well, you'll see for yourself.
Oh, I see. I get no third place. David, we're almost to the courthouse.
Yeah, you just can't wait to be the center of attention, can you?
It's the actress in me.
Well, have you got your license with you, Betty Grable?
I have got nice legs, haven't I?
I always thought so.
It's in my pocketbook. My licenses, I mean. Oh, my seams are straight. But I have my story straight, that I'm sure.
Your story? I just told you you're supposed to tell the truth.
Oh, well, my story's mostly the truth. Honestly.
Well, you just stick to what happens. You'll be all right. You'll only get in trouble if you start embroidering or inventing.
Now, David, you won't leave me, will you?
No, I won't leave you.
Won't be any fun if you did.
Well, it's not supposed to be fun, even if I didn't.
I know, but I can't help myself. Only I'm starting to get nervous, I think.
Good.
What's good about it?
If you get nervous enough, you'll start realizing that this is a serious matter. As a matter of fact, I could have gotten you out of the whole thing without this business of going to court, but I didn't because I thought it'd be good for you. It might make a citizen out of you.
David, I am a citizen, ever since the day I was born.
Well, you'd never know it the way you drive a car.
Must we always go back to the way I drive a car?
At least for the next little while, we must. Well, we're there. There's the courthouse.
Oof. Looks so cold and so righteous. David, please smile as if you meant it. Don't be stuffy just because you're right for once and the court's on your side. Hmm. 32 steps up to the courthouse. I wonder why 32. So many corridors, David. The floor is so polished. Through that big door, David?
Mm-hmm. Go on in.
Well, I don't like the way it looks.
What looks?
The court.
Well, I'll tell them to get a new interior decorator.
David.
Now, shh. And sit down. Sit down right here.
When do I come on?
Probably not for hours.
Hours?
Yes, you're not the only one who violates traffic regulations.
I'm not?
No.
Oh, darling, it's sweet of you to say that. David, we've been here hours and hours.
According to the laws of the state of Connecticut,
Claudia,
this court hereby finds
Claudia,
the
this is a
defendant
court of
guilty of
law.
having
You're
broken
supposed to be
traffic
quiet.
regulations
I'm not talking. You're the one who's talking while the judge
And therefore finds him
I've been
$20.
quiet. Why do they call us there at 10 o'clock if they don't want us till 12?
They'll get around to you.
Well, I don't like to be kept waiting. And I've half a mind to tell them so,
Or
too.
just save it until you're in the witness box.
I will. I'll tell them. Why, you're a busy man. You can't sit here all day pretending you're not an architect. Hey, look, there's a policeman who arrested me.
He did not arrest you.
Well, might have been simpler if he had.
Yes, it might at that. Shh, be quiet or I'll wring your neck.
Claudia Brown Norton.
David, is that me?
Well, the name is familiar.
Claudia Brown Norton is me.
Is I.
I mean, it's I.
Take the stand.
Yes, sir. Yes, Judge.
You call him Your Honor.
Thanks for reminding me, David. Do I look all right?
Yeah, you're fine. Now get up there.
Do I need powder?
No, you don't need any powder. Go on.
Look, even.
All right. A little on your nose
Oh,
then.
dear, I knew I should have brought some with me.
Now get up there or you'll be fined twice as much in absentia.
Where's that? Oh, well, tell me later, darling. David, now keep your fingers crossed. Goodbye. I love you. Stop looking so pale. It's going to be fine.
Claudia Brown Norton.
Coming, Your Honor.
Take the stand.
Put your hand in the Bible and repeat after me. Will you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Sit.
Officer John McClanahan reports that you admitted to making a U-turn on an avenue where signs expressly forbid it. You admit the same?
Kindly repeat the question, Your Honor.
No question. Statement of fact, uncontested. Fine, $3.
Wait a minute, Your Honor. I haven't said anything yet.
Evidence is sufficient. U-turn on Cedar Avenue. Fine, $3. Have you anything further to add, Officer McClanahan?
Nothing further, Your Honor. The defendant admitted to committing offense at the time.
But I've had time to think it over since.
What was that?
I just said that I had time to think it over since.
Perhaps. Next time, think it over before. Fine, $3. Give the clerk your license.
But, Your Honor, can't I have a chance to explain?
Nothing to explain, nothing at all.
But what if I weren't making a U-turn?
Then you would have been going in the other direction.
No, what I mean is, what if I had been going in the opposite direction without making a U-turn?
It's impossible. You'll still be going in the original direction.
Look, if you'll give me a chance to explain, I can...
Your Honor, there's nothing to explain. The defendant admitted that she had made a U-turn in Cedar Avenue. When I got there, she had just finished driving into the rear left fender of another person's
He
car.
drove into me.
Did the injured prefer charges?
Well, I was injured, too. My fender was.
He did not prefer charges.
Well, he preferred not to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pun.
Then any information concerning the collision of the two vehicles, no matter whose responsibility, is declared by this court to be irrelevant, immaterial, and of no consequence.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Now, about the U-turn.
There seems to be no argument, young lady, about the fact that you made a U-turn.
Well, I'd just like to ask you a question, Your Honor. May I?
Go ahead.
Now, if I hadn't been making a U-turn, if I happened to be on the other side of the street, going in the opposite direction to which I had been going, would that be an offense?
Well, I don't follow quite exactly.
Well, what I mean is that if I had landed on the wrong side of the street trying to back up into a parking space, I'm not a very good parker, although I've had my license for a year and I've never had a ticket. But what if I had been parking and in backing up, I'd swung out and looked as if I'd been making a U-turn? Then what?
Well, what you're saying isn't quite clear, young woman. Were you backing into a parking space? Is that it?
Well, what if I had been?
Well, if you had been, you wouldn't have been making a U-turn, would you?
No, I guess I wouldn't, would I? Well, then I wouldn't have to pay a fine, would I?
There'd be some doubt.
Then what are we going to do about this?
Officer McClanahan, what have you to say?
It beats me, Your Honor. It looked like a U-turn to me, and at the time when I said to the young...
Your Honor, could I please...
No, not another word. I haven't figured the first part yet.
Well, it's perfectly simple, Your Honor. If I were going straight ahead and then turned my wheel to the right...
To the right?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. To the left, Your Honor.
Yes, to the left.
Yes. Well, anyway, so I turn my wheel and it starts to look as if I were going to turn. But I'm not. Unless, of course, Did I say I turned to the left?
Are you now going in the opposite direction?
To what?
To what you were...
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes?
You may not. Sentence suspended.
Suspended?
With no fine. And the court recommends that the defendant practice backing into a parking space in private and commit any other traffic violations she desires in a county under the jurisdiction of another court.
But, Your Honor...
Next case.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. David, why aren't you happy, darling? I don't understand why you still aren't happy.
You disgraced me.
I did not. I saved you $3.
You deserve to be fined 20.
I never said I made a U-turn. I never said it. I didn't lie.
If I'd been the judge, I'd have fined you 20 for contempt of court.
I didn't say one nasty thing about the court or anybody else for that matter.
I think you'd be ashamed.
I'm not. David, you're going to chew off the end of your pipe looking that way.
If I'd been you, I'd have been thrown in jail for acting the way you did.
Probably.
Just because you're a girl and you got that poor old judge so confused with your backing and U-turning and parking in the opposite...
so that's it. You're jealous because you think I got away with something.
I am not jealous. I just want you to learn your lesson for once.
I just think you'd be grateful that I don't take the law lying down. After all, it's a democracy. And if the judge saw fit, I must be innocent.
No, he doesn't know you as well as I do. You were guilty. You owe that court $3.
Would you have paid it?
Gladly.
Well, then give it to me and we'll all be even.
What?
Men certainly are queer. They seem to love a principal more than their wife. But smile, darling. I love you more. So, I forgive you.
The parts of Claudia and David on this program were played by Catherine Bard and Paul Crabtree. And the entire production is supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. The bright, friendly red cooler that offers you ice-cold Coca-Cola in shops and amusement places and service stations is a pleasant haven when you seek the pause that refreshes. You can have a private cooler, a white cooler at home, simply by keeping the family refrigerator well supplied with Coke. Then anyone in the house can be refreshed any time of the day. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again Monday at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes, and ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere.
"76 years ago, March 18th, 1949, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage at classicradio.stream. Crime Tomorrow with Gangbusters, Calling All Cars, Escape, The Adventures of Frank Merriwell, and Lum and Abner. And we'll see you tomorrow for more Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.